Hey guys, we're going to have a look around the Hallberg Rassy 400. There are two models. You have the 400, which has two aft helms all the way aft, and you have the 40C. So basically same hull, but totally different configuration. Today we're going to have a look at the 400, which has the two aft helms. Due to there's a lot of people about, I'm actually going to start on right forward, so we're going to start here. Okay. Typical with Hallberg Rassy, you have an integral, and it is a full integral bow sprit. There, obviously, with an option, if you want, you can have a ring put forward for a Jenica, code 0. There is in-deck furling genoa on this particular model. I should imagine you could have a jib if you ask, but remembering that these are sailing boats, not production toys. Lumar anchor winch setting into a locker, and just behind on deck you can see your feet controls. And coming forward you have one shelf here, which is excellent for fender storage, maybe a spare sail and some lines, and all the way down there is your anchor chain well, which is really nice. And just here there is a washing system for your chain if it's mucky. Nice secure pulpit, good stainless steel rails. You're going to get a bit of sun glare, unfortunately, but we'll give you that aft look. With the new designs of Hallberg Rassy, if you watch R50, which will be going up next week, we have an interview with Magnus himself, and he explains how they worked out the full waterline length, giving you maximum beam. As you can see, coming down the port side, you have your Genoa tracks, all adjustable, and everything runs back to the cockpit, so it can all be managed there. Inboard, outboard shrouds. The non-slip deck is fantastic, and look at these tow rails, nice big solid tow rails. Having a look at all your gear on the mast, so everything, all your halyards, reefing lines, everything runs below the deck, and you'll see it in a minute. There's a huge bank of clutches, both port and starboard, in the cockpit for ease of handling. This one's fitted out with in-mast furling. You'll see when we go around the 50 with the options of the carbon mast and boom, and why they have it set. We'll keep coming down along here. Even though it's a German mainsail system, you still have a main sheet traveller, giving you more flexibility in how far you can actually put your sails out, and they have kept the characteristic real glass. Viewers aren't actually subscribers, and yet you're returning viewers to our channel, so you obviously like what we do. If you want us to get to bigger boats, to be able to do more sea trials, we could really do with you hitting that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, takes a few seconds, but it makes a massive difference to us on this channel. And the more subscribers we get, the more views we get, the more opportunities we're going to be able to have to go out on sea trials, test different boats, and just bring you more and better content. So please consider subscribing, hit that like button, leave a comment below, or flexiglass windscreen. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And obviously your spray hood can fold forward if you need to. On the 42E, I'll leave a link for that up in the corner, that we delivered last year. Fantastic boats, probably one of the best sea boats I've been in a long time. Mostly for the way that she actually sits in the water, as all Hallberg Rassys do. They're very, very comfortable. I'm going to come round here now that cockpit is free. It's easy to step over the coamings, they're quite high. So even though it's an aft cockpit, you've got twin helms, even though it's an aft cockpit, Hallberg Rassy have actually managed to keep the high coamings for your safety and security. You'll see inside on all their models that you still have loads of space. Something I want to point out, because they've kept the coamings high, there is space for the electrics actually underneath for the winches, so it's not encroaching on your volume and your headroom inside the boat itself. Over on the starboard helm, you have your electric, onshore electric connections, manual bilge pump, and there is some handy, have a look in here, hot and cold shower, handy little storage cupboard, no area has been left. Jeffer steering, which is brilliant. You know I love Jeffer steering, so you got direct control and really good feel on the twin rudders. Engine throttle control for your Volvo Penta engine, and up here on this pedestal you have bow and stern thrusters, obviously your on and off switch for your engine and engine hours, revs, temperature, switches for your electrics to put over for your sail, your anchor and your emergency build, obviously for your winches. Push button sailing is a motto of Hallberg Rassy, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Obviously you can see you don't have to go forward for your anchor, got a chain counter, autopilot and large Raymarine chart plotter, and as you can see indicating for all your deck lights. It's really nice that there's a grab handle forward, and we'll just come over to the port helm where once again you have a Raymarine chart plotter and all your furling switches are just here, so there is no under weather. If you're on your own, single-handed, there's no need whatsoever to go forward on any of these boats. Once again, port helm, you have storage underneath the seats. It's really, really nice, and show you clever, nice little step, so that when you're on the heel, you've got control. You're not worrying about slipping across the deck as you would with most production boats. Nicely done. Obviously self-draining. Transoms after it's up, obviously, because we're on quayside, and you have access for life raft storage or something like that, you know, whatever you want, gubbins. Nice table central, and you have storage lazarette on either side of the cockpit benches. This one is a huge storage area. This, I think, is the 2-cabin version. We'll see when we get on the inside. Each helm you have a Lumar 50 self-tailing winch, obviously got your controls, and a smaller Lumar 40 self-tailing winch here. As I was saying earlier, with all your sheets, reefing, in-haul, out-haul and so on, same on the other side, are all managed through the deck. You've got a nice big bank of clutches here, and all the tail ends can be tucked away nicely in a box, keeping all the spaghetti lines out of the cockpit area, leave you to enjoy your cup of tea in the morning, or a beer, or your sundowners. It's been taped down so I won't open it. You've got your usual Hallberg Rassy drink holder and so on here, and in a minute when it's free we'll go downstairs But once again, even on the outside, this is what we're talking about. The joinery, the workmanship at the yard is absolutely fantastic. Obviously you have 2 opening hatches here for ventilation, and all your repeaters before you go down the companionway, and a forward opening window up here too.
It's a new book, a 360-page book about Hallberg Rassy, and it's really everything about Hallberg Rassy. The history, the philosophy, how we build the boats, interviews with key people within the yard, with boat owners, details about all the boats we have ever built, even drawings of some boats that were never built. That's quite interesting to see now. And there are stories that we didn't want to tell when it happened, because it was quite embarrassing when it happened. But now, decades later, we can tell about it and laugh about it. It's a lot of interesting stories in this book. And I will give you one book that is signed, of course.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not going to want to give this away.
And if you don't win and want to order a book, you go to shop.hallberg-rassy.com and then you can order it.
Okay. You heard that from the man himself. Let us know in the comments below. One thing we like about the Rassys, washboards are actually on hydraulics. You just pop them and they come up. So no need to store them anywhere at all whatsoever. And the companionway, you have 4 easy steps that lead you all the way down, and on the port side to your galley. Underneath the companionway is your technical department. With your engine, there is space for a generator.
After the main engine and after the stern thruster.
Okay, I'll just get a shot while it's open. To note with the galley is there are very high fiddles, which is really nice. Been well made, so no matter how far forward you go, from galley or over to your dedicated nav station, you're not having to worry about finding something to hold on to. Directly below you have a stainless steel fridge, which is absolutely brilliant. Plenty of storage. Twin stainless steel sinks with fresh water, hot and cold, which is brilliant. Once again, we don't like it when it goes to single seat sinks. And you have a top loading fridge or freezer for all those important bits. Plenty of work space, and a 2-burner gimbal stove with oven. Something which is nice, you'll see on the 42 that we delivered, I'll leave a link for that in the corner above. They still keep the pull-out chopping blocks, and I can tell you underway it's actually really handy to be able to put stuff on here, because you soon, very quickly, run out of work surface when you're doing stuff for the crew. Plenty of drawer storage. I won't open them all, but it gives you guys the idea. And here's the braces, obviously, for your gimbal stove. For you guys that are obviously always out there sailing, and plenty of storage underneath the oven for the pots and pans, stop them knocking all over the place. Just behind me you have the first of the aft. We'll go into the configurations in a second. We have a large aft double cabin. What's really nice for this is you have an area to sit down, take off your wet weather gear. We'll show you there's a hanging locker for that too, but there's plenty of space. But something that we alliterated on in the interview with Mr. Rassy was the one level living, and to show you with my head height, there is zero loss actually coming into your cabin, so you have plenty of room to move around, get dressed, get out of your bed. Plenty of ventilation, one actually going into the cockpit here. Huge port light window on the hull, which is really nice. Lovely reading lamp. You have access inboard for your mechanical department just over here. Another reading light. It's very, very nice. And just above my head, this is one of the hatches you saw when we were around on the cockpit. So there's loads of ventilation. There's a lot of air coming into this boat. It's been about 35 to 38 degrees today, and it doesn't feel like that inside. Something we love, I always go on about this, is the slide doors by the galley. Nobody wants to open a cupboard, especially with a production one. You open the cupboard like that and everything comes falling out. As you can see, they've kept with the idea, you have the pegs so that when you put your plates and your crockeries and so on, you can arrange your pegs to stop everything smashing about, getting smashed. Under passage, I think it's about trying to think of everything, and these are sailors' boats, and as you can see, some very large storage that goes all the way back to the hull itself. As I mentioned, there are 3 configurations for this boat. Say hello to Mr. Rassy himself.
Hello.
I'd like to say what they are, the configurations.
Okay.
Right, it's attached to me.
Shall I just tell about it?
Yeah, if that's okay.
In the forward section, we have a choice of 3 different layouts. One is a center island bed with an ensuite heads and shower. This one has another type of bed that is wider and a bigger heads with separate shower as well, with acrylic glass door there as well, and a seat and a good size hanging locker. And this version is without the head forward and extra much storage all around here, and the same bed as in the middle version. Then in the saloon you have either traditional settee or 2 armchairs. Aft you have either 2 aft cabins or 1 aft cabin with a huge deck locker here. Even with the twin aft cabins you have deck lockers in the cockpit, but not as big as this one with the single aft cabin, which is huge storage on the starboard side. With a single aft cabin you also get an extra big aft head with a separate shower with acrylic glass door and a wet locker here. You still get a decent head here in the twin aft cabin version, but smaller obviously than with the single aft cabin version. Always a seagoing nice galley, and always a good work table on the starboard side. And the interior may be ordered in European oak like this, or in African kaya mahogany like that.
Coming over to the nav desk, you know me, or you guys, I'm a big fan of a proper nav desk. So many boats are losing them nowadays. But underneath the seat you have space for an extra fridge or freezer cool box, which is an excellent idea, especially if you're going for a longer passage to store all those meats. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a good space. Proper dedicated nav desk, once again as I mentioned before, with the fiddles, always something to grab hold of. And there is still, if you look under there, plenty of room to put paper charts, something I go on about all the time. Don't just rely on your electronics. Master volt system, and here you have all your master switches from board. I don't need to go through this with you guys. Handy little cupboard down here. A view of what it's like at the nav station. You can see you have beautiful port lights, both port and starboard, giving you plenty of views. Something you'll notice with the modern Hallberg Rassys is the amount of light, and also for me just here at the nav desk I can pop my head up, have a look what's going on outside. I have ventilation here, and what's really handy is you can have a look up through these alternative opening hatches and see what's going on with your sail plan without actually having to step out on deck, which I think is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Gonna have a quick look behind the electric panel, show you guys how this is all figured out. Once again, everything is individually labelled, so I should imagine, especially with a part number, that if you have any issues you can email or phone Hallberg Rassy and they'll be able to pretty much tell you where it is in the manual, what to do, or send you the right advice to fix on your electric system. This is an option if you wish to actually have there's a wooden pod that puts in here, so you can have your nav screen repeaters, see what you're going on, see what's going on while you're underway. Is it possible to have autopilot, a repeated?
Yes, yes.
So you can have repeated autopilot, wind instruments and a chart plotter. Actually be a very nice spot to do a night watch. A little bit naughty, but very, very nice. Just coming over into the saloon, which for a 40-foot boat is absolutely massive. As you can see, you have a very large 3-seater settee, and just behind it there's an area, if you choose the option, to have a television that comes up on electrics, hydraulically fitted. Or, as Mr. Rassy pointed out, you can have the option, which I like, is to have the 2 armchairs and you have your glass and drinks cabinet in the middle, which is, you know, after a long sail during the day, somewhere to relax in the evening with a scotch, and you can have your cigar outside if you wish. Over on the port side there is a huge L-shaped settee. I should imagine, if this keeps to the heritage of Hallberg Rassy, there is actually an area where you can have lee cloths across here and actually turn it into a berth. Bonjour. The table, if I come forward this way, there's something I'll go on about too, is actually all the way through this tour, and you'll see on the 50, once again, we're not having to go down any steps, everything is one level living. But as you can see, both leaves of the table come all the way out. You'd easily fit 8 people around here. It's absolutely huge. And obviously, once again, on port side, if you want a sea berth while under passage, you can do here. Very important for us sailors, plenty of bottle storage. Coming forward, you have the fiddles either side in the galley and the nav station, and up above there are grab rails integrated up on the roof. Coming into the forward cabin, the owner's suite or VIP suite, once again it's on the same level, so there's no steps down, no steps up. You have a large double semi-island berth. Absolutely fantastic. You can see once again beautiful port light windows. Forward, you have a forward opening hatch for ventilation, storage forward. And does that give you access to the forward locker?
No, it's a separate locker.
It is separate locker
between the anchor locker and the bed. That's because in this version the bed is further aft than in the other version, and that creates extra storage.
Oh, great.
So forward of that is the anchor locker.
Okay.
And the electric winch is inside where it's dry and no condensation.
Brilliant. Lovely reading lights, and both port and starboard you have some lockers up here. A mains plug, over here, I assume that's for lee cloths. Yeah. Let's quick pan out. Simple step up into bed, and obviously both port and starboard you have storage here. Something I love about the Rassys is they've kept this woodwork on the side, keeps it nice and warm. Ventilated cupboards, and you know how we go on about this all the time. It's important to have vented areas for your cupboard so there's no condensation, then there's no mould. Keeping everything fresh and airy. There's plenty of storage. And over on this side, because of this particular version, you have your own heads and separate shower. Electric freshwater flush. There's plenty of space, and as you can see, you have perspex here and here, or plexiglass here and here, so you can close it off so your toilet doesn't have to get wet, so you're not moaning at your partner having to dry all that up. And once again, there's plenty of ventilation in this boat. Have an opening port light and an opening hatch up above. Last and not least, coming back to the companionway, you have your second heads, or what I would call your day heads and primary heads and shower. An electric flush, brilliant, fresh water, no odours. Once again, nicely moulded sink, hot and cold water, plenty of storage behind, and once again the storage goes all the way back pretty much to your hull line. You have a curtain here and plexiglass this side to come across, so this whole section here actually becomes your shower. And what's really handy when underway is you have a seat to be able to sit down and brace yourself if you have to, if it's a little bit bumpy. Large hatch for ventilation here and one up in the top, and this cupboard over here is a great space for hanging all your wet weather gear. It's basically a wet locker, so you can pop all your wet weather gear in there, out the way. It's ventilated. You're not going to have to worry about condensation or mould in the boat. Fantastic. If there's anything else you want to know about this boat or about the 40C, we will be at the Boot Dusseldorf show 2024 in January. Hallberg Rassy have the launch of their new 69 for you guys that have been following it along the web. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, let me know, and I can fire off an email to the company and get your questions answered. In a minute, we're going to go and have a look at the Hallberg Rassy. In a minute, we're going to go and have a look at the Hallberg Rassy 50. See you on the flip side.